Hello everyone, welcome to the second module of control systems. We start with time domain analysis. Time domain analysis refers to the analysis of system performance in time, which means your system variables are going to be functions of time. Like we say x of t, y of t. Okay. Now there are two common ways of analyzing the response of systems. One is natural response and forced response, which we are not going to see now. The second is the transient response and steady state response. So, in both cases, anyway, the complete response is given by combination of both responses. Okay, so which means if you represent your transient response as CTR, where CFT is your output, your CFT is going to be CTR plus CSS. So CTR stands for the transient response and CSS stands for the steady state response. Now, please see this block diagram of a closed loop control system. RFS is the input, CFS is the output. And if you have a gain of G of S in the forward path and a feedback gain of H of S, it's connected to a it's a negative feedback system. So your output is going to be, which I am calling as M of S. Okay, your final transfer function M of S is going to be G of S by 1 plus GS HS. Okay, so the response in S domain is going to be C of S is equal to R of S into M of S, where your M of S is G by 1 plus GH. Okay. And the response in time domain, to find the time domain, what you should be doing here, C of T will be Laplace inverse of C of S, which means Laplace inverse of R of S into M of S. So what you have to find, you have to find the inverse Laplace transform of the product of your input signal and your closed loop transfer function. Okay. Now, as I said in the first slide, you have both transient and steady state responses. And transient response is basically the response of the system when the input changes from one state to another. Okay, slight change happens, a small transition occurs, it becomes a change. So it happens when we say that the response is going to zero as the time tends to be large. So you can see as t tends to infinity, your YTR is equal to 0. Steady state response is the response of the system as the time t approaches infinity, which means usually when you consider any system, it reaches its transient response, and after the transient response vanishes, only then the system is said to reach its steady state. Now, to analyze any system or to predict the response of any system, the knowledge of the input signal is required. Okay, and the input signals, the problem is that it is very difficult to mathematically express them as equations. So what we do is we use commonly or a standard test of input signals, which are step, ramp, parabolic, impulse, and sinusoidal. Now the characteristics of actual input signals are sudden shock, sudden change, constant velocity, and constant acceleration. So ഈ സഡൻ ചേഞ്ചിന് പകരമാണ് നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റെപ്പ്, കോൺസ്റ്റന്റ് വെലോസിറ്റിക്ക് പകരമാണ് റാമ്പ് ആൻഡ് കോൺസ്റ്റന്റ് ആക്സിലറേഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് പാരബോളിക് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ഈ ടെസ്റ്റ് സിഗ്നൽസ് ഈ ക്യാരക്ടറിസ്റ്റിക്സ് ഒക്കെ റെസ്പോണ്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ സിസ്റ്റം റെസ്പോൺസ് പ്രെഡിക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി യു യൂസിങ് ദീസ് ഇൻപുട്ട് സിഗ്നൽസ്. സോ ഈ ഒരു 5 സിഗ്നൽ എല്ലാം നിങ്ങൾ മുമ്പ് പഠിച്ചു തന്നെയാണ്. സോ അതാണ് നമ്മൾ ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത്. So first is a unit impulse signal. As you know, it is a signal which is non-zero only when t is equal to 0. Okay, and it integrates to 1. So the expression is integral del of t is equal to 1. Next is a unit step signal, and it is a signal which gives you a value of 1 whenever your time is greater than 0. So you can see the expression x of t is equal to 1 where t is greater than 0, and x of t is equal to 0 whenever your t is less than 0. The Laplace of, I forgot to mention this, the Laplace of unit impulse is having a value of 1, and the Laplace of unit step is 1 by s. Now moving on to ramp signal. As you can see, the linear, it is a signal that increases linearly with time. So x of t will be defined as a into t. Okay, whenever your t is greater than or equal to 0, and your x of t will be equal to 0 whenever your t is less than 0. The Laplace of x of t in the case of a ramp is a by s square. Parabolic signal is represented as x of t is equal to a t square by 2. Okay, and a t square by 2 is whenever your t is greater than or equal to 0, and it becomes 0 whenever your t is less than 0. And the Laplace of A parabolic signal is given by A by S cube. So this block diagram gives the various signal names, its time domain equation, and then the Laplace transform of the signal. So if I am representing the input signal as R of t, the last column gives you the Laplace transform, so R of s. So first step, if we consider the magnitude as A, where Laplace is A by S. If the unit step means the magnitude is 1, so 1 and 1 by S. For a ramp, it is AT A by S square. When we consider as unit ramp, it becomes 1 and 1 by S square. Then for a parabolic, it's AT square by 2. So A by S cube is the Laplace transform. If I take it as a unit parabolic, it becomes T square by 2 and 1 by S cube. And for impulse function, the representation is del of t, and the Laplace transform for impulse signal is 1. Moving on to some terms or some term concerned with the transfer function of a system, that is order. Order of a system is taken from the using the highest power of s in the denominator of a transfer function. So suppose you have a transfer function defined as T of s is equal to C of s by R of s. C of s is given as Bm s raised to n plus Bm minus 1. You can see the equation that is seen in the slides now. And R of s is given as An is raised to n plus An minus 1. So take the denominator equation. That denominator equation is also named as the characteristic equation. So the highest power of s in this characteristic equation gives you the order of the system. So the order of the system is n, and it is defined by the highest power of s. You have already learned what a characteristic equation is in the previous module. So just remember the order of the system, which is defined by the highest power of s. So we'll see some examples. So in the first example, the transfer function is given by 5 by 4s plus 1. So the denominator is 4s plus 1. The highest power is 1. So it is a first order system. In the second one, the equation is 10s by s square plus 4s plus 4. Look at the denominator. The highest power of s is 2. So it is a second order system. In the third example, the denominator has the equation 3s raised to 4 plus 2s cube plus s square plus 4s plus 3. So the highest power of s is 4. So which means this is a fourth order system. Now I'll just again for a simple another phenomenon too, which is poles and zeros of a transfer function. So again, if the transfer function is denoted in this manner, that is n of s by d of s, n of s expression is given and the expression for d of s is given. So the poles are going to be the roots of your denominator. Okay, I have represented the g of s, my transfer function is n of s by d of s. So the roots of d of s are going to be called as the poles of the transfer function, and the roots of zeros are going to be known as the roots of the numerator are going to be known as the zeros of the transfer function. So note it, when you take the denominator, it is the poles. Roots of the denominator give you the poles, and the roots of the numerator gives you the zeros of a transfer function. Let's see a few examples. So if I have 1 by s plus 1, s plus 1 is the denominator, which means s is equal to minus 1 is going to be my pole. And you don't have any function in the numerator with s, so your zeros are going to be 0. You don't have any 0, okay. Don't write it as 0 because it is not, so write it as none. Because to get a 0 as 0, you need to have s by s plus 1. If the expression was s by s plus 1, you have a 0 actually. That is 1 by s plus 1, so none, which is nil zeros. The next example is s minus 1 by s plus 2 the whole square. So saying the denominator, it is s plus 2 the whole square is equal to 0, so s will be minus 2 minus 2. And your zeros is s minus 1 is equal to 0, so s is equal to plus 1 will be the 0. In the last expression, you have a quadratic equation. So the poles are found using the formula minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. So the equation has a root of, or the poles of, minus delta plus or minus root of l square minus 1 by 2. And zeros again none. Thank you.